All right, everyone, we are back. Welcome. My name is Carly Reilly. For the past month, I have been covering the trial of Sam Bankman-Fried, going to court every day to bring you daily podcasts about this absolutely historic case and historic trial. For the past 2 years, I have been an NFT podcaster, covering everything to do with NFTs. So I am deeply ensconced in the world of the modern economy, the meme coin world. And a popularly requested video has been to cover what is happening with SafeMoon. I will give a little bit of context for anybody who doesn't know what SafeMoon is, but I won't dwell there because I actually have 4 different lawsuits that I want to talk about today. Everyone's fixated on the recent news, which I definitely want to get into, some suits brought by the DOJ and by the SEC, but there is another lawsuit that was related to SafeMoon that happened last year that I really want to get into because it has to do with one of my favorite videos that exists on the internet because of what happened after this video was posted. So there's a bigger story to SafeMoon that I think is really interesting. We're going to get into all of that right now. But first, if you are enjoying this content, please do like and subscribe and comment. I so appreciate getting all of your thoughts. I mean, I'm making this video because it was something y'all requested quite a bit in the comments. So please do, if you're listening to this in podcast form, you can follow along by subscribing to the podcast. That's the little plus button up in the upper right-hand corner if you're on Apple Podcasts. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Let's start with the most recent news, which is that last week was a very, very bad week for SafeMoon. And last Wednesday in particular was a very, very bad day for SafeMoon. Lawsuits were filed by both the Department of Justice, the DOJ, and the SEC against SafeMoon, its founder Kyle Nagy, its CEO John Caroni, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I always read it. Yeah. And then their CTO Thomas Smith, who collectively stole hundreds of millions of dollars from SafeMoon investors. Do we think we should call them that? Let's talk a little bit about what SafeMoon is for folks who don't know. It was a shitcoin, right? SafeMoon, like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or any of these many other, like Harry Potter, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. What was the thing? What's that? That was been a popular one lately. Shitcoin, with the differentiator that every time you sold the shitcoin, there would be a 10% tax imposed, as in there was like an additional 10% fee you would be charged. 5% would be locked in this liquidity pool, and another 5% would be redistributed to the existing SafeMoon holders. I'm not even going to get bogged down in the details of that. There are other videos. CoffeeZilla has done a ton of videos about SafeMoon. I'll link to them below. So you can get a lot of in-depth context on this whole thing via those videos below. But 5% was going to get locked up, and their whole thing with that was like, we can't touch it, and this is going to create, safety for you as investors for trading via this liquidity pool, et cetera, et cetera. So this was a huge selling point for this coin. Of course, in reality, they were totally lying because they absolutely were taking money in the back end from this supposedly locked liquidity pool that, again, was the whole selling point of this whole thing. Like, we can't take the money, we can't touch the money, we can't rug pull you, it's all locked, whatever. No. They had this little backdoor way of doing it. They were taking the money, hundreds of millions of dollars in money, to then, apparently, according to these complaints, spend on McLaren cars, extravagant travel, luxury homes, and other things. Just your classic trifecta, quadratic, whatever, however many things it was. Just like your classic 25-year-old bros who aren't actually intelligent, but think they're smarter than the law and are managing to get hundreds of millions of dollars. And what would those people blow it on? These are the things they would blow it on. I actually think Kyle Nagy, who founded it, was like 35 when he founded it. So I guess he wasn't a 20-something, but some men never grow up. Some men retain that youthful glow of the 25-year-old who steals your money to buy McLaren cars. But it doesn't even end there, because once it was discovered that they were taking all this money from the protocol and or I don't even know if it was that was discovered, but basically once it was discovered that things weren't all as they had described them to be, then they committed a second crime, which is they tried to manipulate the price of SafeMoon by using anonymous accounts that didn't look like they were affiliated with them to buy up huge swaths of the coin, and also to do hundreds of thousands of wash trades where basically they would have multiple accounts trading with one another to make it look like there was a lot of volume still happening on SafeMoon to get people to buy it and drive the price back up. Probably so they could dump it on their followers. I don't know, but I would assume that they were like, we're not looking to drive the price up so they could hold long term for the next 5 years. Like, I'm sure they wanted to offload their own SafeMoon so they can continue to buy their McLaren cars or whatever it was that they were trying to do. Now, this is all ridiculous, and as this case moves forward, it will definitely be one I'll be keeping my eyes on, because if we get a jury case like we did with FTX, I'm sure it will have as many wild tidbits as we got in the FTX trial of just like, Thai prostitutes are now being brought into this. And you're like, what? Like, what is happening? There was just so much. And I imagine that this will be a similar kind of case. Some facts about this: between March 12th, 2021 and April 20th, 2021, the market price of SafeMoon went up 55,000%. 55,000%. That is insane. And by the way, that's why an entire generation of people can no longer be satisfied with 8% stock market returns, because we've all gotten a taste of like, there are these opportunities like GameStop, which by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, because believe it or not, that's connected to all this, and NFTs, because we're like, 8%. Well, we've seen things go up by 55,000% in a month. Get out of here with your 20% returns, Warren Buffett, right? Okay, so there was that. Then the market cap hit $5.7 billion, I think, over that same period, like at its peak, which was sometime in April 2021. Plus, we already have seen snippets of this in the indictments, I guess they're called, that have been released by the DOJ, like internal communications between these executives showing just how calculated they were about perpetrating this fraud. But my favorite part of the SafeMoon story, actually, is something that happened last year. A group of investors in SafeMoon filed a lawsuit against SafeMoon, but then also against a bunch of influencers who they claimed had been helping to promote SafeMoon, helping to get the word out, helping to create that 55,000% rise in price. And among the influencers who were named in this lawsuit was one Mr. David Portnoy. Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports, all around like ridiculous internet personality, controversial internet personality, et cetera, et cetera. He gets named as somebody who is being sued for having promoted SafeMoon to his followers. Basically, he was sued for shilling SafeMoon along with other influencers like Jake Paul, and I think Soulja Boy might have been in there. I don't know. I don't see Soulja Boy's name isn't listed on like the court document. I don't know what Soulja Boy's real name is, but I think his real name, his birth certificate name is on here, and I don't know what that is. In any case, bunch of influencers. But I would like to show you the video. It's one of my favorite things of Dave Portnoy. The video that Dave Portnoy posted shilling SafeMoon that got him sued. Let's just take a look.
The answer is SafeMoon. SafeMoon is now in the Dave Portnoy business and vice versa. Why? I don't know fucking why. It could be a Ponzi scheme. I like the word moon because that's where I want to go. So I'm buying SafeMoon. I also like how if any fuckers sell it out there, you get a 10% penalty and it disperses 5%. Everyone, Ponzi. It's early. If it is a Ponzi, get in on the ground floor. To the moon, safely we go. Make my eyes blue. Make them blue. That's the new thing. I already have blue eyes. I want lasers. SafeMoon, get in now. Maybe moon safe. There it is. I don't know what you're doing. Invest responsibly. Blah, 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 blah. SafeMoon.
First of all, this is good for so many reasons. Okay, first of all, this video was on like May 12th. Like this was past the peak, right? This literally SafeMoon went straight down from here. So when Portnoy says it's early, quite literally could not have been more late in terms of absolutely missing the peak and just watching this thing go straight down. The second thing is like, this is so obviously ridiculous. I love the line. What's I don't know fucking why. Like, it has the word moon in it and I want to go to there. Like, clearly this is not a serious pitch for SafeMoon. And this is what got him sued. Now, the case against him specifically was dropped in November of 2022 because, again, clearly this is not a serious thing. And so, but it took like 5 or 6 months for this to get dropped. But I think this actually brings up a really interesting question, which is just this issue of in the new era of social media and meme coins and influencers, what is the line in terms of what constitutes investment advice and investment using loosely. Like, to me, I'm sorry, if you bought SafeMoon off of the back of this video by Dave Portnoy and you thought it was a serious investment, you are beyond help. Like, that is not, you should not be sued for this. Clearly you're gambling, and that's fine. We can go to slot machines and pull them all day long, but you have to realize that that is what you were doing. In this case, if you watch Dave Portnoy make this video and then you put your money in SafeMoon, it is not reasonable for you then to say, oh my gosh, SafeMoon was a scam. Dave Portnoy, how dare you shill this to me? You can say that you want to take action against Kyle Nagy and John Caroni and Thomas Smith, who are named by the DOJ and who are named by the SEC. That feels reasonable. Go after those guys. They made real misrepresentations about what this was. Portnoy himself is a victim. He is one of the people who was defrauded by Nagy and Caroni and Smith, right? But don't sue Portnoy because you put money in SafeMoon after seeing that video that we just watched, right? But this is not the only time this is happening, which brings me to the final story I want to talk about today, which is Ryan Cohen, internet folk hero, leader of the meme stock world. If you don't know Ryan Cohen, Ryan was the founder of Chewy.com. He's now become this like activist investor, and he's most famous because he bought up a huge stake in GameStop, got a seat on the board of GameStop, and was tied up in this whole rapid rise of GameStop that toppled Melvin Capital and all that stuff that happened in like early 2021 when Wall Street Bets took down actual members of Wall Street. But more recently, he had also bought up about a 10% stake in Bed Bath & Beyond. And so Bed Bath & Beyond also became one of these meme to the moon kind of stocks. And Ryan is now being sued by a bunch of Bed Bath & Beyond investors for orchestrating a bit of a pump and dump, they claim. So let's talk about this very briefly because I think I'm going to put Dave Portnoy over here in the very innocent, didn't do anything that should get him into legal trouble category. You've got SafeMoon founders, executive team, and FTX, etc. in this camp. And then you've got Ryan Cohen somewhere in the middle. So in August of 2022, Ryan Cohen sold his full 10% stake, I think it was like 9.8%, whatever it was, stake in Bed Bath & Beyond. 3 days prior to that, however, CNBC had tweeted an article, a CNBC article, talking about how sales for Bed Bath & Beyond were way down. And the photo that was like the thumbnail photo for the article was a picture of a woman pushing a shopping cart that was like a full shopping cart of pillows and whatever else was in it. And Ryan Cohen responded to the tweet of the article and said, at least her cart is full. And then he put a little smiling moon emoji in the tweet. After this point, the price of Bed Bath & Beyond stock, I will say shot up. It did shoot up. Now, the caveat here is that it was actually climbing prior to that tweet. It was already having a bit of a run up prior to Ryan making that tweet. And then there was other stuff that Ryan did a few days later that actually, I think, shot it up arguably even more than that tweet. Nevertheless, after this tweet, the price did go up. And there were people talking on Reddit forums and things about the meaning of this tweet because he used the moon smiling emoji, smiling photo of a moon smiling emoji, whatever it is, and they were like, is this cryptically him telling us that it's going to go to the moon? He is a 10% investor. He's done this before with GameStop. Is he going to ride this thing high? Are we about to, is there going to be this whole thing, blah, 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 right? All the speculation begins. 3 days later, he dumps his entire share. He dumps all of his shares of Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm dropping pens here. One moment. So what happens? Investors sue him. And 2 weeks ago, on October 23rd, very recently, a judge dismissed a motion by Ryan Cohen and his team, where Ryan Cohen and his team were saying, throw this lawsuit out. A smiling moon emoji is vague and undefined and doesn't really mean anything, and you cannot possibly suggest that it is fair to sue me over the fact that I used a smiling moon emoji. And the judge said, nay, no, that is a legitimate reason to sue you. This case can move forward. It doesn't mean that the judge is not saying he's guilty or, he's not rendering a verdict here on anything. He's just saying that I'm not going to throw out this case because I do think it is legitimate for people to say that there could have been something material or meaningful or whatever in your smiling moon emoji. Again, there's more to this case, and maybe let me know if you'd be interested in me making a longer video about this whole Ryan Cohen Bed Bath & Beyond thing. I wrote an article about it about a year and a half ago, and it is something that I'm super interested in because, again, it's this whole new economy that we're in where we have these meme tokens, these meme stocks, these things that run up on the basis of very flimsy social media interactions. And yet again, I put this somewhere in between Dave Portnoy and Sam Bankman-Fried because he was a 10% owner of Bed Bath & Beyond. And it was definitely irresponsible of him to be tweeting anything with a moon emoji when he knows perfectly well what the to the moon symbolizes in this world. On the other hand, I don't think he was intending to create some sort of pump and dump by doing this. I imagine he was just offhandedly tweeting something out, making a joke, put the moon emoji in there, didn't think anything of it. That's my belief, knowing what I know about the facts of this case. In any case, it is my strong perspective that it is very legitimate to go after the founders of these companies and these protocols that lied about what they were going to do, that said they were doing one thing when they were behind the scenes doing another thing that was totally enriching themselves at the expense of their customers, their users, their investors, whatever you want to say. It is not as legitimate. In fact, it is arguably, to me, not legitimate at all to go after the random tweets and goofy internet trolling that led you to buy something that clearly was a gamble you were making. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to this. I'm not saying there aren't people who were paid by fraudulent protocols that then marketed them or whatever. But by and large, really, you bought a bunch of Bed Bath & Beyond stock because he tweeted a moon smiling face emoji? Y'all, we need to grow up. We need to take personal accountability. If you are old enough to be buying Bed Bath & Beyond stocks, you are old enough to understand that somebody tweeting a moon on Twitter does not constitute investment advice. That maybe you should do a little bit more homework before you determine that that is the basis upon which the stock is going to go up in price. All right, folks, that is today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'll be back this week. My plan, I'm hoping this week to do a follow-up video talking about what's happening with the FTX bankruptcy, which will involve a bit of an update on Sam's parents. That's another thing that has been requested quite a bit. Y'all are dying to know what is going to happen to Sam's parents. So I am in the process of trying to get some information on all of that for y'all. I will hopefully make a video about that, like I said, also this week. But please do continue to comment things you want me to talk about or cover. This video was a product of some of those suggestions, so I really do take them seriously and appreciate them. And with that, have an awesome night.